Proof. I swear to tell the truth and nothing but the whole truth. Not the proof.
In order for us to be in the condition we're in, we must literally be turned backwards as a people. We must be reversed because this world can only be ruled in terms of lies. When you have a minority of people, a 10% of the world's population, a 10% of the world's population whose lands are not inherently wealthy, whose lands have no natural resources, ruling over the other 90%, then that other 90% must be kept out of its mind. That other 90% must exist in a state of deception. That other 90% must live then in a reversed situation and in a backward situation. Therefore, that other 90% must accept the lie as truth and the truth as lies. I've said that the major differentiation between Eurocentrically oriented psychology and Afrocentrically oriented psychology under oppression is that it is a political necessity that the black man be out of his mind. It is not merely the result of the interaction you had with your mother or your father. It is not merely the result of the absence of your father in the home or the absence of role models in your communities or all of these other things we hear day in and day out. It is not merely the result of that. It is ultimately the result of the need for the European to maintain power and domination. And these things are but an effect of that need. You had 2 Sundays ago a bunch of Negroes trying to explain the disparity between the education of black females and black males. A pathetic situation. Pitiful. They went to Yale, went to the University of Chicago. The experts that they had what? Set up. And of course, those experts gave them the answers that they wanted to hear. And then they are presented to African people as experts. But if they'd gone to the people themselves, I'm sure they would have got a different set of names and a different set of people. But those people did not appear in that paper. So we get people putting effects as causes. You say, oh, it's the absence of the black male model in the neighborhood. But how does the absence of the black male model occur? Why is it necessary for that absence to be there? That is never dealt with and discussed. It never gets around. So you have a bunch of experts discussing secondary situations and minor situations and making them appear to be major. That is why they're teaching at the University of Chicago and Yale. Because those institutions are just as much and more of a part of European domination as any other institution. And yet we say that they give us a good education. And we talk and we feel so good when we send our children there without any African consciousness. They are being sent there to be destroyed. So then we have to then look at the schools, because it is in the schools, it is in the colleges and universities that the black man and woman, the black child, the black boy and girl must be taught to be dumb. That is the purpose of the schools. Let us recognize it. If the European can only exist to the extent that we are not in control of our common sense, that we are not in control of our identity, that we are not in control of a shared collective activity level, If the European can only exist and dominate as a result of the fact that we are not in love with ourselves and with our people, if the European can only be in control as a result of the fact that we have not fully developed our technological thinking capacities and the ability to concretize those capacities, then why do you think those abilities and those personality characteristics are going to be taught in European-oriented schools? It doesn't make any sense. The European is not going to teach his enemy to overthrow him, and yet some of us think that that will be the case. There is hardly any African in the world that is ever given a European education. You know, we hear some people talk about, well, that he has a white mind, or he thinks like white folk. Black people are not taught to think like white folk. You can sit in the white university as long as you want to. You'll never be taught to think like a white man. You can even learn the same thing in terms of course content as the white boy and girl, the white student. You can learn it even better. You can come out summa cum laude, and you still have not received a white education. No, sir, you get a Negro education no matter where you go in the system. I wouldn't complain. I often tell people, you know who thinks more like a white man, if you want to use those terms, I'm putting those in parentheses, a Farrakhan. Yeah. Yes. How do we say that? Because you see, if you're taught to think like a white man, like white people, you want your own nation. That's what white folk want. You'd want to own your own neighborhoods. That's the way white folk think. You'd want to control your own economy. That's the way white folk think. You'd want to have your own army. That's the way white folk think, ladies and gentlemen. These people going to these colleges don't think like white folk. They don't come out determined to control their destiny. They don't come out determined to create their own nations and places in the world. They don't come out determined to control military strength and economic strength and other strength. They are coming out the same way their slave great-grandparents came out. That is, to be servants and to be highly educated servants. That is why a Farrakhan frightens them, because they see themselves in a Farrakhan who says, I don't want to sleep with your women. I don't want to marry your women. I don't want to live among you. I don't want to have anything to do with you. You're dirty, rotten, and regressed as a people. You represent a destructive force in the world, and we are going to remove you from power. And we are here to see that your influence on the world ceases and is put to an end. We are here to take rightful control of the wealth that is under the lands of our people and take rightful control of our minds. We are here to put you in your 10% place in the world itself.
Proof. I swear to tell the truth and nothing but the whole truth. Not the proof. I swear to tell the truth and nothing but the whole truth.
Metal, burning down, I'm a natural born rebel, ayy. Running high, where the dust settles. Get ready, cause I'm on another level, ayy.